The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was a masterpiece of engineering, with its polished crystal walls refracting light in a spectrum of colors. Delegates from over 100 species sat in the chamber, their forms as varied as the stars they hailed from. High Chancellor Velric, a being of shimmering silver tendrils, raised a limb for silence. The hum of conversations faded. "We convened to discuss the matter of humanity," Velric announced, his voice resonating in the vast space. "A species from the Sol system, newly integrated into the galactic fold, has recently been identified as possessing a unique role among us." The murmur returned, skeptical and curious. Humanity's entry into the galactic community had been met with mild interest. An unremarkable bipedal species with an alarming penchant for conflict and innovation. Now, it seemed the Council had discovered something extraordinary. "Allow me to clarify," Velric continued, projecting an image into the air. It was a recording from a distant probe observing Earth. The video showed a human dismantling a rusted machine with a wrench in one hand and what appeared to be a torch in the other. The process looked chaotic, yet the machine was soon restored to function. Their records indicate they call themselves problem solvers, but the term is inadequate. They are, in essence, the galaxy's janitors. They approach problems, technological, biological, environmental, not with caution or precision, but with brute pragmatism and extraordinary ingenuity. This peculiar style warrants further investigation. Among the delegates, murmurs turned into gasps. Janitors? The thought was laughable, yet there was an undeniable efficiency in the footage. Seated at the back was Delegate Hraenix, a scientist from the meticulous Threxian species. Known for their methodical nature, Hraenix had long advocated for higher standards in galactic operations. His crest twitched in skepticism. "High Chancellor," he said, his tone sharp, "are we truly suggesting that a species so reckless can contribute to our advanced civilization?" Velric's tendrils shimmered with amusement. "Perhaps we need to witness their methods firsthand. Humanity has been invited to assist with a pressing matter, a toxic war zone abandoned by the Krathok millions of years ago. It remains hazardous, and our attempts to neutralize it have failed. Let us see how these humans clean." Days later, the alien delegation arrived on Earth. The ship landed in a secured area of what humans called Nevada, where a group of scientists, engineers, and military personnel had been assembled. The leader of the human contingent was Dr. Emily Carter, a systems engineer with a reputation for unconventional solutions. Dr. Carter observed the visitors with a mix of awe and curiosity. The lead alien, Hraenix, was tall and insectoid, his segmented body glistening under the sun. Beside him stood Velric, who radiated an almost ethereal presence. Hraenix was the first to speak, his translator rendering his voice in clipped formal tones. "Humans, we have come seeking your assistance. You are to demonstrate your renowned cleaning methods in the Krathok wastes. This is a matter of great importance to the galaxy." Dr. Carter exchanged a look with Colonel Harris, a pragmatic military officer standing to her right. "Cleaning methods?" she asked cautiously. "Yes," Hraenix replied, his tone impatient. "Your species has been identified as uniquely capable of neutralizing such hazards." Carter suppressed a laugh. "Well, I suppose we're good at solving problems. What exactly are we dealing with?" Velric interjected, his tone more diplomatic. "The Krathok wastes are a graveyard of ancient technology and biohazards. Attempts to dismantle or contain the dangers have resulted in catastrophic failures. Your role will be to resolve the issue by any means necessary." Colonel Harris frowned. "And what makes you think we're qualified for this?" Velric projected another image, a satellite view of a vast, desolate expanse. Craters marred the surface, glowing faintly with residual energy. "Your history speaks for itself. You humans thrive in chaos. Your ability to adapt, repurpose, and persist despite overwhelming odds is unmatched. We trust you will succeed where others have failed. Carter nodded slowly. All right, we'll need full access to the area, a detailed breakdown of known hazards, and some creative freedom. Hrenix hesitated, his mandibles clicking in irritation. Creative freedom? You called us because we're unconventional, Carter replied. Let us do what we do best. The preparation phase was a whirlwind of activity. Human engineers studied the limited data provided by the aliens, shaking their heads at the lack of detail. Colonel Harris oversaw the deployment of drones and machinery, while Carter assembled a team of specialists known for their outside-the-box thinking. The alien delegation observed with a mix of fascination and unease. Hrenix was particularly critical, noting the humans' apparent disregard for precision. They're assembling devices with no clear plan, he muttered to Velric. Velric, however, was intrigued. Perhaps chaos is their plan, he said, watching as a human technician used duct tape to secure a critical component. When the humans unveiled their strategy, the aliens were stunned. The plan included flamethrowers for sanitizing biohazards, powerful magnets to disable rogue machinery, and a series of controlled explosions to clear debris. It was, in a word, madness. This is your solution? Hrenix demanded. You're as likely to destroy the entire zone as to neutralize it. Carter smirked. Sometimes destruction is part of the solution. The Krat waste stretched across a barren expanse of a long-forgotten moon, its surface fractured and scarred by ancient warfare. Faint, unnatural glows pulsed from fissures in the ground, while jagged remnants of alien structures loomed in the distance. The air, though thin and breathable, carried an acrid tang that stung the throat. Dr. Emily Carter stepped off the human landing craft and surveyed the desolation. Her team had touched down at the edge of the designated danger zone, their bulky suits and reinforced equipment stark against the alien landscape. Behind her, drones hovered, their metallic hums blending with the low, ominous hum of the Krat relics. Colonel Harris approached, his boots crunching against the brittle surface. Carter, he said, pointing to a flickering energy field nearby. That's one of the hazards they mentioned. Some kind of ancient containment system. Unstable as hell. Carter squinted, her visor enhancing the view. The energy field shimmered erratically, its edges sparking as though ready to collapse. Beyond it lay a cluster of dormant alien machines, their surfaces blackened with age. If that field goes down, Carter said, those machines might activate. Could be harmless or catastrophic. The alien delegation observed from a safe distance, their own craft hovering a kilometer above the wasteland. Hrenix, seated at a console aboard the ship, watched the humans' progress through a live feed. His crest twitched with mounting unease as he saw one of the human workers using what appeared to be a flamethrower. What are they doing? He demanded, turning to Velric. Velric's tendrils undulated thoughtfully. They are cleaning, I believe. Carter's team set to work, their approach both methodical and chaotic. A pair of drones deployed magnets to sweep up shards of metallic debris, while another carried a high-powered emitter to disrupt the erratic energy field. Nearby, a technician named Alvarez prepared a controlled detonation to dislodge a particularly unstable cluster of alien matter. All right, Alvarez, Carter called out, her voice crackling over the comms. What's the status on that charge? Set and ready, Alvarez replied, his tone light despite the tension. Just waiting for the go-ahead. Carter glanced at Harris, who nodded grimly. Do it, she said. The ground trembled as the explosion erupted, sending a plume of dust and fragments into the air. When the smoke cleared, the unstable cluster was gone, leaving behind a scorched but stable surface. Nice work, Harris said, clapping Alvarez on the back. But the celebration was short-lived. A low, Resonant hum began to build from the direction of the dormant machines. The energy field, weakened by the explosion, flickered violently before collapsing altogether. "Carter," Harris barked, "we've got movement." The alien machines, dormant for millennia, shuddered to life. Panels slid open, revealing spindly appendages tipped with glowing tools. One machine emitted a beam of light that carved a deep groove into the ground, while another extended a claw-like limb toward a nearby drone, crushing it with ease. Carter swore under her breath, "All right, people, time to improvise. Focus on containment." As the humans scrambled to respond, their unorthodox methods became apparent. One engineer, faced with a rapidly advancing machine, used an industrial magnet to disable its internal mechanisms. Another repurposed a drone to lure an aggressive relic into a trap, where it was immobilized with an adhesive spray. Carter herself wielded a flamethrower, using it to scorch away the remnants of a toxic biofilm that had begun to spread from one of the machines. The heat wave disrupted the sensors of a nearby relic, causing it to malfunction and collapse. From their vantage point, the alien delegation watched in stunned silence. Hranix's mandibles clicked in agitation. "This is madness," he said, gesturing to the screen. "They are destroying priceless technology." "Perhaps," Velric replied, his tone measured. "But they are also neutralizing the threat." The battle against the relics reached its peak as Carter's team coordinated a final offensive. Harris led a squad in setting up a chain of explosive charges, intending to disable the largest and most dangerous machine, a towering construct that emitted waves of destabilizing energy. "This better work," Harris muttered, arming the final charge. "It'll work," Carter replied, though she sounded less than confident. "Just be ready to move." As the countdown began, the humans retreated to a safe distance. The alien machine, sensing the threat, began to advance, its limbs sparking with energy. But it was too late. The charges detonated in a deafening cascade, obliterating the machine and leaving a massive crater in its wake. For a moment, there was silence. Then, slowly, Carter's team began to cheer. "We did it," Alvarez said, grinning beneath his helmet. "Not bad for janitors," Carter replied with a smirk. Back aboard the alien craft, Hranix watched the aftermath with a mixture of relief and indignation. The Krathok wastes were no longer a threat, but the cost had been high. Much of the ancient technology was now irreparably destroyed, and the landscape was irreversibly altered. "They may be effective," Hranix said, his tone bitter, "but their methods are reckless and wasteful." Velric's tendrils shimmered with what might have been amusement. "Perhaps," he said, "but sometimes recklessness is what the galaxy needs." As the humans packed up their equipment and prepared to leave, Carter glanced back at the desolate battlefield. It wasn't pretty, but it was done. "Let's head home," she said, her voice tinged with exhaustion. The journey back to Earth was quiet. Dr. Emily Carter sat in the cramped cockpit of the transport ship, staring out at the endless stars. Around her, the team buzzed with subdued conversation, a mix of pride and exhaustion etched into their faces. The mission had been a success by any measurable standard. The Krathok wastes were neutralized, and the galaxy was safer for it. Yet Carter couldn't shake the uneasy weight of what they'd left behind. A battlefield scorched beyond recognition, ancient technology obliterated by human ingenuity and chaos. Behind her, Colonel Harris leaned forward, breaking her thoughts. "You know they're going to spin this, right?" he said, his voice low. "Spin what?" Carter asked, though she already knew the answer. "That we're either saviors or lunatics," Harris said with a dry chuckle. "Probably both." Carter smirked but didn't respond. He wasn't wrong. The alien delegation, now aboard the Galactic Council's flagship, convened for an emergency debriefing. Hrenix paced the chamber, his segmented limbs clicking against the polished floor. His frustration was palpable, his mandibles twitching as he gestured toward the holographic display of the Krat Hoc wastes. Reckless, destructive, they annihilated relics of incalculable value. Hrenix snapped, his crest bristling. How can we trust a species that approaches every problem with such brute force? Across the room, Velric observed calmly, his shimmering tendrils flickering in quiet thought. And yet, he said, his tone deliberate, they succeeded where countless others failed. The wastes are neutralized. The danger is gone. At what cost? Hrenix retorted, slamming a limb against the console. They destroyed more than they saved. Is that truly success? Velric tilted his head, his expression unreadable. Perhaps our definition of success must evolve. The humans do not clean as we do. They reshape, they adapt, they transform. It is not precision, but it is effective. Hrenix paused, his irritation tempered by reluctant understanding. Their methods defy reason, he admitted, his tone softer. But they achieve results. Perhaps there is merit in chaos. When Carter and her team arrived back on Earth, they were greeted with the kind of fanfare reserved for unlikely heroes. The press swarmed the landing site, eager to document humanity's first galactic intervention. Carter hated the attention, but knew it was part of the deal. "Dr. Carter," a reporter called out, shoving a microphone toward her. "How does it feel to represent humanity on such a dangerous mission?" Carter forced a polite smile. "It feels like we did our job. Nothing more, nothing less." "And what about the alien response?" Another reporter chimed in. "Do they see humanity as an asset to the galaxy?" Carter hesitated. She thought of Hrenix's critical gaze, the way his crest twitched with barely concealed disdain. "Let's just say they're still processing our methods. Nearby..." Harris barked a laugh. "Processing is one word for it," he muttered under his breath. A week later, the Galactic Council held an official session to address the outcome of the Krat Hoc mission. Delegates from across the galaxy gathered, their voices a cacophony of debate. At the center of the room, Carter and Harris stood as humanity's representatives, flanked by holographic projections of their actions in the Krat Hoc wastes. Velric addressed the assembly, his voice calm yet commanding. The humans succeeded in neutralizing a threat that has plagued us for millennia. Their methods, though unorthodox, have proven effective. Hrenix rose from his seat, his crest flicking upward. Effective? Yes, but at what cost? They treated ancient technology, potentially invaluable knowledge, as expendable. If we endorse their approach, what message does that send to the galaxy? Carter stepped forward, her voice steady. "With all due respect, Delegate Hrenix, we didn't go into the Krat Hoc waste to preserve relics. We went to solve a problem, and we did. Sometimes preservation isn't an option. Sometimes you have to make hard choices." The room fell silent. Hrenix regarded her with narrowed eyes, but there was no denying the truth in her words. Velric's tendrils shimmered as he turned to the assembly. Perhaps this is humanity's role, not just as janitors, but as problem solvers. They approach each challenge with audacity, adaptability, and a willingness to risk everything for the greater good. It is a perspective the galaxy sorely lacks. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some voices in agreement, others in dissent. After the session, Carter found herself alone in the council's atrium, staring at a holographic representation of the Milky Way. The vastness of it was overwhelming, a reminder of how small humanity was in the grand scheme of things. "You did well," a voice said behind her. She turned to see Velric, his silver form glinting in the soft light. "Did I?" Carter asked. "Half the council thinks we're maniacs." Velric inclined his head. "Perhaps, but the other half sees you as indispensable. That is no small accomplishment. Carter laughed softly. Indispensable janitors. That's a title to be proud of. Velric's tendrils shimmered in what might have been amusement. You are more than janitors, Dr. Carter. You are catalysts. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities. That is a rare and valuable trait. Carter considered his words, a small smile tugging at her lips. Thanks. I think... The story ends with Carter and her team returning to Earth, their place in the galaxy both uncertain and promising. As they prepare for whatever challenge comes next, one thing is clear. Humanity has proven its worth, not through perfection, but through determination and ingenuity. The final scene shows Velric addressing the Galactic Council once more, his voice resolute. Let it be known, humanity is not just a species of problem solvers. They are architects of change. And in a galaxy that often fears change, they may be exactly what we need. The end